Good morning, everyone. I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IS English channel. Today is 25th of July and we are going to discuss important articles from our favorite Indian Express newspaper. We'll start off our today's discussion by understanding what is National Sports Governance Bill of 2025. This news article appeared in the explain section and it wants to bring a sort of a regulator of India's sports sector, because India's sports sector, it is managed by different boards who are responsible for managing the sports, and these are overlooked by the Ministry of Sports. So in that regard, the government is trying to bring a regulator, just like TRAI regulates communications in India, just like other bodies like RBI regulates banking sector in India. So there will be a regulator for sports sector also, which the BCCI, etc., they will report it to. So these are all the provisions of National Sports Governance Bill, and this is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective, right? So we'll understand this bill in detail, what it tries to bring and what it tries to do. Similarly, in the second article, we are going to cover Thailand and Cambodia's border clash, because yesterday Thailand actually used its fighter jets to bomb certain military locations of Cambodia. So this has brought this issue back into the news. Earlier it was in news because of the suspension of Thailand's PM. So we are going to understand this issue in detail, and this is also important from places in news perspective. So I'll give you the reasons why these two countries are fighting, and they'll also try to understand what are the mapping locations where these clashes have been happening, right? So this is important from places in news perspective, right? In the third article, which is an article we couldn't do yesterday because of the bad internet connection, we'll be covering Financial Inclusion Index, which is an index brought by RBI. And as the name suggests, you know, this deals with, or this understands the level of financial inclusion in the country. So this is relevant from GS paper 3. NISAR satellites is a joint venture satellite which will be made and launched into space by a joint venture of NASA and ISRO. So what this satellite wants to do, how or which kind of a component will be supplied by these two respective space agencies, everything we'll try to cover in our today's discussion, and this is relevant again from GS paper 3 because any space related development becomes important from science and tech perspective. In the fifth article, this is a very great article. I enjoyed reading it. It talks about legal status of right to vote. What do you think is a legal status of right to vote? Do let me know in the comments. We'll try to understand the reasoning behind it. What is the actual legal status of right to vote? And we'll also try to solve a PYQ and a practice question that I've curated using the knowledge that is given in this particular article. So this is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective because it deals with a kind of rights, and rights are a part of polity syllabus. In this sixth article, we are going to understand what are biostimulants. Biostimulants are a kind of a catalyst that we use in agriculture. So are these pesticides or are these fertilizers? We'll try to understand in our today's discussion. This is relevant from agriculture and science and tech perspective. So GS paper 3 is the last syllabus. And in the last article, we are going to understand what are laws in India relating to polyandry. You know what is a polyandry? When one woman marries more than one husband, this is called as a polyandry. This is opposite of polygamy. Polygamy means one man has multiple wives, whereas in polyandry, one woman has multiple husbands. Understood the difference? So we are going to understand what does Indian law say about this phenomena. Does it actually happen in India or not? We'll try to understand it. Now this basically deals with legal aspects. So this is the GS paper 2 is the relevant paper here. Let's see if we are able to cover 7 articles today. The articles that will be left out, no need to worry, I'll cover it tomorrow. Another important announcement, tomorrow session will not be at 11 a.m. It will be at 4 p.m. right? Because I have to travel to Gurgaon for some work related purpose. So that is why we are going to have a session only tomorrow at 4 p.m. Please remember it. So please do not ping me because tomorrow 11 a.m. session won't happen. This will go at 4 p.m. only tomorrow. From Monday onwards, we'll come back to our original schedule. Okay. Now, the notes of the session, you know it already. These will be available on this particular Telegram channel known as ATS Live. You can subscribe to the channel if you still haven't and download the notes. Let me refresh this. Quality ठीक आ रहा है तुम लोगों को? To me, it shows very bad quality. Shrikant M. What is M, Shrikant? Benjir, good morning. Venus, Baga, Rishi, Arya, Gaurav, Amar, hi. Kanchan, Manvi, Oshika, Anuj, Johar, Anuj. Whenever I see your message, I start missing Ranchi. Ranchi is my birthplace, so I have an attachment to that place. AC, Yashi, Tripti, Priya, Tripti again, Anandu, Srinivasulu, Rishi, Venkat, Kharbudon, Reshma, Rupa, Rishi, AC, Yashi, Nanda, Mahamim. Good morning to all of you. I'm good, Tripti. How are you doing? Now, AC says Article 326 guarantees universal adult franchise, stating that every citizen 18 and above is entitled to vote. So, according to AC, this right to vote should be the constitutional right, right? Let us discuss this today. Do not worry, this is a very beautiful article. My father posting was in Ranchi and lived there for 3 years. Okay, Saurabh. There was a there was a popular Jharkhand cricketer also who used to play for Mumbai Indians. His name was also Saurabh Tiwari. He used to have long hair like MS Dhoni. Valli, good morning. So let us start our today's discussion. Let's not waste time with this article. It talks about National Sports Governance Bill of 2025, which has been introduced in the Lok Sabha. Right, and this appeared on page 9 of today's newspaper. Page 9 is where the explain section is located today. And the relevant paper, as I've already told you, it is GS paper 2. Varun Aaron also. Yes, good. Even Ishan Kishan, originally he hails from Patna, but he plays for Jharkhand Ranji team. Liberal, good morning. What is this name, Liberal? What do you mean? I'm not liberal. I'm very liberal. As at least I consider myself liberal. Okay. So let us start our today's discussion. The union government has introduced National Sports Governance Bill in the Lok Sabha, and this bill wants to reform the governance of sports bodies across India. Now, sports bodies, their control, political control especially, becomes very important in India. You may have seen there was this big controversy 2 years back regarding the control of India's Wrestling Federation, which was controlled or which was headed by a very popular BJP MP from UP, that is Mr. Brij Bhushan Singh. But there were allegations of sexual harassment against him levied by many popular wrestlers, so it led to a lot of controversy. Similarly, we understand cricket in India is regulated by Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI. Now, the control of BCCI also is a very big deal in India, so therefore government wants to streamline the governance of entire sports sector in India. So this is why it has brought in this bill. Let us understand what this bill tries to bring. Now this bill, National Sports Governance Bill, it tries to focus on regulatory transparency, athlete-centric policies, fair and timely dispute redressal, as well as streamlining the functioning of national sports federations in India. Now, every sports in India, be it football, be it cricket, be it wrestling, be it boxing, these are managed by individual sports federation. So, BCCI technically is India's National Sports Federation for cricket. Similarly, Football India is India's National Sports Federation for football. Similarly, each and every IHF is for hockey. Each and every sports has their respective federation. Now, these federations right now, they report to sports ministry directly, but government wants to create a sort of a regulator who these individual federations will report, including the BCCI. Now, this marks a very pivotal shift in the ministry's role. Currently, the ministry is the controller of sports in India. Now, it will only become a facilitator, and it will try to improve global competitiveness in the fields of sports, because you understand sports needs to be managed by former sports persons, not by politicians. What do politicians know about sports, right? So this is why they want to create a special regulator for the same. Similarly, it also wants to reduce legal disputes and bureaucratic hurdles that these sports federations face. How many times have you read a newspaper article where an athlete has complained to the ministry saying that the facilities provided to them that was promised is not adequate enough for them to practice and excel in the sports, right? So all of these issues, according to the government, will be dealt with by the National Sports Governance Bill. Understood the reason why government is bringing it? Any doubt? Now, first, this bill wants to create a national sports board, right, which will be established, first of all, to recognize or suspend any national sports federation. So all these national sports federation will have to get recognized by a national sports board. Similarly, if they are involved in certain illegal practices, they can also be suspended, not by ministry but by a national sports board. Similarly, this board will ensure compliances with the governance standards and also ensure that the athlete welfare is taken care of. And it will also oversee the elections of these sports bodies, because we understand BCCI election for any important sports body is a very important thing. And if politicians participate and do politicking in the election process, it automatically does not lead to free and fair election. So for that, a national sports body has been created. This will include a chairperson and members who will be appointed by central government, and this will function as a watchdog for ethical governance and will provide administrative oversight over the national sports federation. So any problem that these national sports federation will have, they will approach now to national sports board, not to sports ministry. This national sports board will report to sports ministry. Understood how it is working? Much similar to how TRAI operates, right? Because these companies like Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, they report to TRAI. They don't report directly to the Ministry of Communications, because TRAI is the India sectoral regulator for communication sector. Now, there also will be a national sports tribunal which will be set up just to address the sports related legal disputes, and it will be headed by a Supreme Court judge, and it will handle disputes regarding elections, regarding team selection, regarding internal administration of National Sports Federation. And the best part about this National Sports Tribunal is that the appeal of this decision can be made only to the Supreme Court of India. So these disputes right now, where the government also participates and there are allegations that there is a politics going behind it, will try to be dealt with, and there will be a separate tribunal to address all these issues. So understand how government is trying to reduce the politicization of all these aspects by creating a separate board and a separate tribunal, right? So this is how the National Sports Governance Bill will function. Now, the key provision that you have to understand about the National Sports Tribunal, that it will not cover certain disputes. What are these disputes? Also very important. These disputes, including disputes related to Olympic, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, these won't be handled by the National Sports Tribunal. Similarly, cases that are there with International Sports Federation, they won't be also be handled by National Tribunal. So suppose if there is a dispute right with the International Cricket Council, ICC, or there is a dispute that is underway with FIFA, which regulates world's football, right? So these won't be considered by these tribunals. Similarly, anti-doping cases also, there's a separate National Anti-Doping Agency, and this has been carved out of it, because anti-doping cases required specialization in medical science, and this NADA, or National Anti-Doping Agency, has expertise in this regard. So all these anti-doping cases also won't be referred to National Sports Tribunal. You're a weightlifter, Baga. How much can you do a deadlift? Well, with reference to National Sports Governance Bill 2025, consider the following statements. Do let me know the correct answer and how many of you play a sport. And if you're good at a particular sport, please do let me know. Jui, good morning. Kaizen, good morning. Yes, BCCI, including all these National Sports Federation agencies, will report to these. So BCCI is actually worried, because BCCI is directly dealing with BJP. Now they are worried they'll have to report to another body. Oh, Nandini, volleyball, same here. Okay, Swati, your father is a gym trainer and weightlifter. What are you? Do you weightlifts? Oshika, basketball. Nice. लड़का लोग, तुम लोग कुछ नहीं खेलते हो क्या? Well, National Sports Tribunal will be headed by a judge of High Court. Incorrect, I told you. This will be headed by a judge of Supreme Court. National Sports Board will have the authority to recognize or suspend National Sports Federation and oversee their election. Correct. National Sports Tribunal will have jurisdiction over disputes during international multi-sport events like Olympics. Incorrect, I've told you. Especially these international multi-sports events won't be under this jurisdiction. So only second statement is right. Option B is your right answer. Most of you have gotten it right. Kabaddi, Kirbu Shankar, Kabaddi, Saurabh Tiwari, chess, good. Swati, badminton, good. Rajneesh, volleyball. Your rating is 1500. Nice. I don't have a idea about. I understand lesser the rating, the better is the sports person, or is the higher the rating or better is the chess player. No network here, sir. Karbudon, no problem. Venkat, I am playing street cricket during my sports days. Well, who hasn't? Not good at sports. No problem, Kanchan. Okay, so next article. This article obviously talks about the Thailand jet bombing of Cambodian targets. So this issue has gotten out of hand. Basically what Thailand did, it did their own Operation Sindoor on Cambodia. Okay, so this dispute, let us understand this dispute in detail. Thailand-Cambodia border dispute. Now the context why we are discussing it, that Thailand army yesterday launched airstrikes on Cambodian military sites alongside their disputed border yesterday amidst a recent deadly clashes which killed at least 11 Thai civilians. Now these two nations, Thailand and Cambodia, have downgraded their diplomatic relations a day earlier before this attack used to happen, after accusing each other of inciting violence. Now the exchange of fire has roots not only in their colonial history, and it also includes dispute over a Hindu temples also in the recent event. So why are these two countries who are dominated by Buddhist people, why are they fighting about Hindu temple, and what is their colonial history that has led to their dispute? Everything we'll try to discuss it in our today's discussion. Okay. You're an under 16 cricketer. Good, Rishi. AC sir, request to repeat the lecture on judges impeachment. AC, there is a recent video in the channel, right? If you want to watch that video, na, go to this YouTube. Okay, I'll show you the video. No need to worry. Give me a second, we'll come back to our discussion. I'll show you the video, okay? StudyIQ English. This is the channel, and the video I was talking about now, about the impeachment process, very recently we have posted a video. Is this the end of Yashwant Verma? Okay, so see this video, AC. This will cover your entire thing. This basically a 12-minute video only. I've covered everything. So let us come back to our discussion. We were discussing clashes between Cambodia as well as Thailand. Now the Thailand government, it has claimed that Cambodia actually deployed drone to conduct surveillance about Thai troops who were located at a military base located quite close to this Prasat Tamuanthom temple. And this temple belongs to Hindu religion at the earlier regime of Khmer, right? However, denying these allegations, the Cambodian government has said that this dispute actually started from Thailand side. So basically, these are saying that you started, we don't have to deal with that. What we have to understand is the origin of this dispute and how this dispute has materialized in recent past. Now, what happened is that both Thailand and Cambodia have long state claims on temple's ownership. Cambodia says that this temple, which right now Thai government is controlling it, belongs to Cambodia. Similarly, Thai government says that this temple belongs to them. So this is basically a territorial dispute over a certain region, which also includes the temple. This is not a religious issue. Please understand this. Now, the dispute actually became quite controversial during the incident that happened in the month of May. Here, the armed forces of both these countries, they briefly fired at each other, and it led to death of one Cambodian soldier. So this, once the death of any soldier happens now, it actually leads to a bigger dispute, right? Now, while these countries afterwards, they cool down after a phone call that was made by Thailand PM, which led to a suspension, we'll cover it. Now, after cooling off, the involvement of both these armies now have kept the situation tense. So although both of these government after the clash of May tried to downplay this incident, tried to compromise, but since the military of these two countries are involved now, the tensions are still there. So these tensions now you can understand has led to bombing from the Thailand side. Now what happened because of this dispute, that Thailand added certain restrictions to the goods and people who were moving from Thailand border to Cambodian regions, right? So it stopped crossing of almost all people except few people who need. Similarly, Cambodia also retaliated with its diplomatic measures. It banned Thai movies and TV shows in Cambodia. Similarly, it also stopped imports of few commodities from Thailand like vegetables and fruit, and also said that we will not take internet or power which is coming from Thailand, and it also stopped importing fuel from Thailand. So basically both of these countries impose certain kind of trade and economic restrictions against each other just in retaliation of the dispute. Now what you need to understand, the area where this dispute is happening, you need to understand Thailand shares its border with 4 countries. Towards its northwest it shares border with Myanmar, towards its north it shares its border with Laos, towards its south eastern side it shares its borders with Cambodia, and towards its southern side it shares its borders with Malaysia. Now this dispute is happening over this region of border that it shares with Cambodia, that is in the southeast side. Understood? Now let us understand the flashpoint areas where this happened. Now earlier this clash that led to killing of one Cambodian soldier happened in this Chongbok region, which is the tri-junction between Laos, Thailand and Cambodia. And this present dispute that led to bombing incident, it happened in this region, that is Prasat Tau Muan Thom Temple. So all these areas that I've marked here, these areas, this Chong Chom checkpoint, Prasat Via Temple, Chongbok, all these are violent regions where clashes between the armies of these two countries usually happen. What you have to remember from your exams perspective, this clash is happening in the southeastern border of Thailand, which it shares with Cambodia. Rest of the borders are not so violently active. Okay. Now the Thailand Prime Minister Paitongtarn Shinawatra, she was suspended from her post earlier this month because to calm down the tension, she called a senior politician of Cambodia. This senior politician, what he did, he recorded the conversation and made this conversation public, which led to a lot of ridicule for the Thailand Prime Minister, who is basically only a 38-year-old person. So you can understand, you can make a very young person your head of government or head of state, but that person might not have that kind of political maturity, which he did not have because it led to the leaking of this phone call, right? Now on the call, what she did, that she tried to disparage the achievements of the Thailand military, and in Thailand military is very powerful institution, much like how Pakistani army is very powerful. So in Thailand, once you disparage your own military, it shows very negatively in the local media. That is why, because of this phone call, once it got leaked, it led to the suspension of Thailand Prime Minister. But this is not very important from our exam. What is important, we'll discuss it right now. Now the border dispute between these two countries, it originates from colonial period. Both of these countries share as much as 800 kilometer worth of land border, and this land border was delineated at the time when Cambodia was under the French colonial rule. So 1907 map that the French had drawn, Cambodia thinks that it is their official borders with Thailand, but Thailand does not agree to this Cambodian interpretation. Thailand has said that we still haven't delineated by our own agreement a particular land or a particular border. So how can you say that this colonial border is your actual border? So this is the sort of tension that is happening, much similar to how India and China even till today does not agree to a particular border, right? Now what happened in the month of February, few of Cambodian soldiers and their family members, they entered into a temple in Thailand, sung their national anthem, and this also led to a lot of controversy. And this was in the Priya Vihar temple, which is another Hindu temple as much as 1000 years old, right? So this is the temple I'm talking about here. The incident happened in the month of February. Now, what happened, that this also increased the sort of tension that existed between these two countries. Now, to deal with this border dispute, in 1962, Cambodian government approached International Court of Justice, saying that International Court of Justice should actually mediate between the tensions in these two countries. So, Cambodia tried to involve a third party, that is ICJ, to deal with the border issue that it has with Thailand, right? Now, in 1962, the ICJ said that the Cambodia has the sovereignty over these issues, which this repeated in 2011 when another controversy happened. But Thailand does not agree to the fact that a third party is mediating the dispute. Thailand is of the opinion that we should sit together, that is Thailand and Cambodia, and they should mediate and finalize the border without any involvement of third party. So therefore, ICJ, it is favoring the decision of Cambodia, and Thailand does not like it. What Thailand said that we should seek or use our existing bilateral mechanism, which includes forming a joint committee which will discuss, conduct the survey and delineate the border on ground. So this is Thailand's approach. Thailand wants to resolve this issue bilaterally, whereas Cambodia wants to resolve this issue with the help of a third party, that is ICJ. Very much similar to how India and Pakistan fight over each other. India says that with our borders, we should resolve it within ourselves, whereas Pakistan wants to involve third parties like US, UN, China, etc. Right? So this is the entire crux of the issue. Any doubt if you have? Now, why these two countries still fight with each other? The reason is the tension between these two countries over a border dispute has led to a discomfort in the relations between these two countries. Now, these two countries have a deep seated cultural enmity, and because for a longer period of time, they were a large and competing empires. Now, in modern times, we have seen that these two countries have followed a very different developmental trajectory. Thailand, on the other side, has subscribed to the ideas of capitalism. It has promoted Western investments into Thailand, which has led to somewhat prosperous economic growth in Thailand. But Cambodia, on the other hand, after getting liberated from the French colonial route, it came under the rule of communists, that is the Khmer Rouge regime. So because of the communist rule, Cambodia was not able to have that good economic development. So even today, the levels of economic development between Thailand and between Cambodia, there's a very huge difference, and this has created a lot of difference. Therefore, this difference has also materialized into cultural enmity. All of these people, they try to appropriate the culture. They say that boxing, mass dancing, traditional clothing, which are common to these two countries, they belong to one country and not another. So this is a kind of bickering that happens between these two countries and keeps the tension at an all-time high, right? So this is what we discussed. PYQ of 2023, there was a PYQ of 2023 on the land borders of Ukraine. So I've changed that question to suit our today's discussion. Which of the following countries have a land border with Thailand? Govind Singh, sir, on 19 July, I was watching a video and said you are still unmarried. Yes, I'm unmarried. You asking any doubt regarding this? Well, we have discussed Thailand shares its boundary with 4 countries. These countries are Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia and Myanmar, right? So China and Indonesia, it does not share its boundary with these two countries. So 4 options are right. Option B, only 4 is your correct answer. Yes, all of you have gotten it right. Arey, believe नहीं हो रहा Kaizen? Yes, I am unmarried. And what do you think? I'm not that old. I can still be in my age and be perfectly unmarried. Now let us deal with this article which was left out yesterday. Now we'll discuss this article. It talks about RBI's Financial Inclusion Index. Now this Financial Inclusion Index, obviously brought by RBI, it has been reported that India standing on this index has improved from 64.2 last year to 67. And this is an index published annually by RBI. And this surge in the Financial Inclusion Index clearly shows that India as a country is making meaningful strides in deepening financial empowerment, especially at the last mile. So what are the important schemes that have been brought by government to deal with financial inclusion? Please let me know quickly. What are the important schemes of financial inclusion? This has been in news. It's not so difficult for you to recall. Yes, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. What happens in Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana? Manrega is not a financial inclusion scheme. Manrega is a employment scheme. Yes, Jan Dhan Yojana तो सबने बता दिया. Other schemes? What does Jan Dhan Yojana do? Aadhaar enabled payment system. Correct. Another schemes? Mudra loans. Correct. Another schemes? Zero balance account. Yes, correct. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. It provides that people who do not have bank accounts, they will be opened a bank account and these bank account will have a facility of zero balance. Kisan credit card. In a way, correct. MSME sector. Mudra is MSME sector. Stand Up India. Startup India. Another schemes. Someone said Suraksha and Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. Atal Pension Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. Correct. So you can recall, Ayushman Bharat is not a financial inclusion scheme. It is a health insurance scheme. Yes. So you are correct. So government has brought in so many schemes for financial inclusion and there is a proof that this has actually led to on-ground financial inclusion because RBI is saying so. Now let us understand how does RBI understand or calculates financial inclusion in India. Now this financial inclusion index has been conceptualized as a comprehensive index which will give government, which will give people the idea that financial inclusion is happening in the country, and here details are taken from different sectors like banking, investment sector, insurance, postal as well as pension sector. And how does RBI gets this rating or idea? It interacts with government departments and respective sectoral regulators. Now this index, it captures information on various aspects of financial inclusion and it gives you a score which is between 0 to 100. The lesser is the score, you can understand it shows that there is little financial inclusion. If it is 0, it means there is no financial inclusion in India at all. And if it shows 100, it means India has completely achieved the idea of financial inclusion. But in reality, you understand, this figure will be somewhere between 0 to 100, not 0, not 100, right? Now, this index is calculated using 3 different parameters. First is access, which is given 35% weightage. So access here, if suppose ATMs, banks, etc., their network increase, it will lead to improvement in this particular factor. Another factor is usage. So how easy for people is to use their banking services, this is determined it. For example, through UPI, through Aadhaar enabled payment system, it has become easier for people to make payments, right? Similarly, usage of RuPay debit card, RuPay credit card, all of this wants to improve the usage of banking and financial services. Similarly, the quality is also considered here, that is 20%. How improved is the quality of financial inclusion? And quality aspect is covered by many different factors like financial literacy, consumption protection, inequalities and deficiencies in service. All of these contribute to quality. So weight of different parameters are considered and a total of 97 different indicators are utilized to categorize what is the financial inclusion in India, right? So the unique feature about this index is it does not just talk about extent or spread of financial inclusion, it also talks about quality of financial inclusion, because quality is also very essential. If people are not literate, what's the point of them using the bank accounts? They'll be subjected to certain scams, right? Similarly, also need to protect the consumers. If God forbid some money wrongfully is deducted from their account, there should be a mechanism, there should be a redressal mechanism that will help them get their money back. So this is why it is a very comprehensive index talking about access, usage and quality. AUQ. Okay. Now this index, first of all, you have to understand this index is constructed without any base here. So it overall reflects the cumulative efforts coming from the government, that if it is increasing, you understand it is getting better, and if it is decreasing, you understand it is getting worse. Now the steady rise in index reflects success of an ecosystem wide effort to bring underserved communities into formal financial inclusion. I told you earlier, MSMEs have difficulties in getting the finances, so government came up with Mudra loans. Earlier, poor people, when they used to go to banks used to say that you need to have a minimum balance in your account of 10,000 rupees. So government said we'll solve this problem. They brought zero balance bank account. So this is how problems have been sorted, just to ensure that the weaker section of the society are not just provided digital banking services, but actual meaningful banking and financial services. Understood? So this is what the entire financial inclusion index is all about. Now there is a PYQ of 2015, very straightforward PYQ. Do let me know. Well, Swamitwa scheme, good. Kharbudon. Swamitwa scheme is a very good example of financial inclusion. What happened in Swamitwa scheme? Yes, Tripti, Atal Pension Yojana, Startup India, good. PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, good. Swati. Yes, option C is your right answer. Correct. Well, someone said Swamitwa. Kharbudon says Swamitwa. Anyone has an idea what does Swamitwa scheme does? Another question. Yes, all of you are right. Here also both of these statements are correct. NPCI, which also brought UPI, helps in promoting financial inclusion in India, and it has launched a card payment service or scheme known as RuPay. You have an idea what RuPay is? I'm not talking about rupees. What is RuPay? Well, Swamitwa, since none of you have answered, Swamitwa was the scheme brought by Government of India during COVID-19 pandemic, especially that roadside hawkers now, because their business was disrupted. Government said that we'll provide you 10,000 rupees loan so that you can utilize this loan to restart your business. Yes, RuPay is a payment gateway. You understand how a payment gateway works? RuPay is very similar to Visa, MasterCard, Maestro, American Express. These are payment gateways. They help facilitate transaction from your credit card, that is your bank, to the bank of the merchant who you are paying, right? So suppose if you go to a shop and buy a shirt or a top and you use your credit card to make the payment. So the transfer of money from your bank account to the bank account of the shopkeeper will be facilitated by a payment gateway, and this is called as RuPay. This is called as Visa, MasterCard. These are different products of a different companies using a payment scheme, right? Yes, it is making a collaboration with PayPal. PayPal is also a payment gateway, although not operative in India, but PayPal is famous for Elon Musk. Elon Musk got his first sizable wealth by selling PayPal. Now, students who are looking to give exams next year, today is the last date for you to take admission in this 2026 course. This batch is starting from today itself in the evening. So, please make sure to take admissions in this batch, and the admission will be available if you use the code ATS Live. This code will help you get a lot of discount on all the courses. How to apply the code? For example, if you want to take admissions to StudyIQ, right? So search StudyIQ. This will be the website. Click on it. Once you create an account here first, select English language option. After you select English language option, the leftmost tile is the tile which you have to subscribe. To opt for this course, click on Buy Now. Add promo code and write ATS Live. Once you write ATS Live, click Apply. You'll see that the diamond course is available at 29,999 after a discount of how much rupees? After 7,000 rupees. Right? And you get all the benefits including scholarships. So suppose if you pay us 29,999 for the diamond course, and if you clear your prelims next year, your entire course fees will be refunded. And not just that, with Prelims Residential Program will also help you clear prelims. So see the benefits. These are many benefits. And do not forget to take admissions, right? Now let us deal with another article which has been left out from, I don't know, God knows how many days. So let us deal with this article. It talks about NISAR satellite, which is a satellite made by a joint venture of NASA and ISRO. Now it is set to be launched by July the 30th from Satish Dhawan Space Center, which is in Sriharikota. Sriharikota is in which state of India? How to practice static GK and current affairs by watching these sessions daily. I am helping you deal with even the static parts. I include static parts also, right? Not Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. It is in Nellore district, if I am not wrong. People from Andhra, am I right? It is in Nellore district, right? Sriharikota? No problem, Bhaga. Now you know it is in Andhra, not Tamil Nadu. Very nice biryani, Andhra. Now, NISAR is basically an abbreviation for NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. Okay. Nellore, yes, Geeta, correct. Now, this is a satellite which will be launched in low Earth orbit. It is basically an observation satellite which has been jointly developed by NASA and ISRO. And the size and weight of this is basically, it is an SUV sized satellite weighing around 2800 kilograms, and it will function for about 3 years. Right? Now, what this NISAR satellite does is that it wants to monitor tectonic movements of Earth geological plates, water bodies, water stress, vegetation cover, snow cover, etc. And it will analyze the subtle changes that are there on the Earth's surface. Similarly, it will also spot warning signs of imminent volcanic eruption. It will help the space authorities to monitor groundwater supplies and also track the rate in which ice sheets are melting. So these are very essential phenomena which the NISAR satellite will be doing. No Kharbudon, no problem if there is a network issue. No problem, I understand this problem. Even in my apartment now, there is a problem with Airtel network. So Jio people now, they get their network quite well. We have to use Wi-Fi, otherwise we won't even be able to call someone. Now, this basically will cover the entire Earth. It will scan the entire Earth once in every 14 to 15 days. So the imaging frequency or the images that this satellite will provide will have a frequency of once every 12 days. And once every 12 days, when it scans a particular portion of the Earth, it will capture images of Earth's land, ice, sheet and sea ice. So on a long-term basis, the scientists will be able to compare and contrast the images, understand if the snow is less or more, what is the changes in the Earth, tectonic movements. Similarly, it will also detect the surface movements. It detects the surface movement for as low as 0.4 inches over an area. This is 1 inch, right? This is basically 1 inch. So it understands 0.4 inch. So you can understand the technology level of the satellite. From so up in the air, it is able to understand the changes as low as 0.4 inches, right? Personal question, strategies to get families to stop marriage. Well, I won't be able to help you in this regard because I am also facing the same pressure. Now, what I'll suggest you to do now, you create a goal for yourself and prove your family that you are actually serious about that goal. Then they'll stop pestering you. Okay. Now, the features of this satellite, that it is equipped by dual frequency radars using S-band communication as well as L-band communication. Now, NASA will be contributing to this project L-band radar in addition to that GPS solid state recorder and payload data subsystem. Whereas in this project, NASA will contribute S-band radar, GSLV launch system using which it will be launched in space, and also the spacecraft. Similarly, an antenna reflector is also there, which is a large 39-foot fixed antenna reflector, and this helps the satellite to focus radar signals emitted from it and received from upward facing instruments in the there in the satellite, right? So this is the overall features. What you have to remember, L-band radar is provided by NASA, S-band radar in addition to GSLV launch system is provided by ISRO. Similarly, GPS signals will be provided by America, obviously, in addition to solid state data recorder. Don't go by what Saurabh is saying. Saurabh is basically trying to tell you to extort your parents. Don't do that. Convince them. They are your parents. They are not your enemies. You should have the ability to reason them. If you are able to reason yourself with the parents now, you'll be able to reason with other people who you will interact after you clear this exam. Now let's see how many of you are able to solve this question. You cleared state PCS, Jui. Your state PCS must be Gujarat, right? Where are you in Gujarat or Maharashtra? I forgot. Oh, your name is Jui Doshi. I usually used to pronounce Jui Joshi. Sorry for that. No problem, Saurabh. Because in the text, na, you can't get if the person is talking sarcastically or in reality. That's the thing we use memes, emojis for. अपना भाव समझाने के लिए. Bhavnagar. Okay, so Kutch. For 6 years, my father was posted in Jamnagar in Gujarat. But I was very small. We lived there until I was in 3rd standard. Okay, Saurashtra. Well, NISAR is designed to detect minute surface movements as small as 1 inches and can cover the entire Earth in every 7 days. Incorrect. I've told you it can cover Earth in 14 to 15 days. The satellite uses both L-band and S-band synthetic radars, with L-band system contributed by ISRO and S-band by NASA. This is actually opposite. So incorrect. The NISAR is expected to aid in monitoring tectonic movements, snow cover, groundwater resources over its planned mission duration of 3 years. So this is correct. And we have to identify statements which are not correct. So all of you have gotten it right this time. First and second aren't correct. So option A is your right answer. Okay, you have a friend in Jamnagar. Now this article I have taken from The Hindu because this is a very beautiful article, so I hope you don't mind it. We are going to discuss what is the legal status of right to vote. Is it a constitutional right? Is it a fundamental right? Or is it a mere statutory or a legal right? What do you think about it? We'll discuss it, not to worry, but I want to know about your thinking. What do you think about right to vote? Because this question has been asked in UPSC exam. Now, why are we discussing right to vote? Because Supreme Court is currently dealing with petitions that have challenged the special intensive revision of electoral rules. We have covered already this issue. Right. Now, the key issue that is also risen in this debate is what is the legal status of right to vote? Okay. So, many of you are saying constitutional. Some Srinivaslu is saying fundamental rights. Dheeraj is saying statutory rights. So let us find out what kind of a right it is. Now, first of all, let me tell you the differences between the different kinds of rights. Okay, first, if you don't understand the differences, how you will be able to categorize these rights, right? First, at the top comes natural rights. Natural rights by virtue is the rights that are provided to all the living beings, right? So these are derived from common sense. These are derived from your reason. These are derived from human nature. You don't have to mention these rights somewhere just to say that these are natural rights. So your right to life, liberty, these are something which are called as natural rights, right? These are provided to all just by the virtue that you are born as a human or born as a living being, right? So these are natural rights. But you have to understand these natural rights may or may not be necessarily codified somewhere, right? So to make things easier, we codify rights and give them certain hierarchy. So top in the hierarchy in terms of codified rights comes fundamental rights in India. These are guaranteed by the supreme law of the land, that is the constitution. That is why the word fundamental is used here. And these are guaranteed under a specific portion of the constitution known as Part 3rd of the constitution. And the beauty of fundamental rights is that if they are violated of you, you can directly approach the apex court of our country to get these rights restored. You can approach Supreme Court against the government, and you can also approach Supreme Court against many private persons if they have violated your fundamental right. Examples of fundamental right are very easy. Right to equality in Article 14, freedom of speech, Article 19, right to life, Article 21. So basically, Indian Constitution has codified some of the natural rights here. Understood the difference between natural right and fundamental right? Fundamental rights are codified, natural rights may or may not be codified. Now let us talk about constitutional rights. Every right that are mentioned in the constitution except in part 3rd, these are called as constitutional rights. So there are certain examples of constitutional right like right to vote, which are there in Article 26. But we'll discuss the exact status of right to vote. So please do not consider this right to vote for our today's discussion. Okay, just forget it right now. Right to property, earlier it was a fundamental right, but its status was revoked and it became a constitutional right. Similarly, freedom of trade is also a constitutional right. These are not fundamental rights. Now, there are also statutory rights. Okay. In statutory rights, these rights are granted by a law which is passed in the parliament, right? So, right to education, right to food, that is National Food Security Acts, Manrega provides you right to employment. Similarly, right to information, these are all examples of which kind of right? These are statutory rights. Statutory right are also sometimes called as legal right. So, in terms of hierarchy, fundamental right is at the top, followed by constitutional right, followed by statutory right. Understood? Now, the big question of our today's discussion, what is this right to vote? I mentioned here constitutional right, but is it actually a constitutional right? We'll discuss it today. Now, what you need to understand is that right to vote originally is mentioned in the Article 326 of the Constitution. But have you read Article 326 of the Constitution? Has anyone read actually Article 326 of the Constitution? Well, Swati, I'm not a lawyer. I'll suggest to request your friend to contact a lawyer, right? Now, Article 326, if you read it, it says that any person who is an Indian citizen over and above 18 years of age, they can vote provided they are not disqualified by a law. So, in reality, Article 326 says that only those persons who are over and above 18, they can vote if they are not disqualified in the law. So, basically, Article 326 is an enabling provision, but it leaves out certain aspects about who can vote and who cannot vote based on a law which is passed by the Indian Parliament. So, therefore, the status of right to vote is not a fundamental right, not a constitutional right, rather a statutory right. Why? Because it leaves certain matters at the hand of law. Similarly, there was a significant development that happened in 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. It reduced the voting age. Earlier it was 21 and above, now it is 18 and above. But still, right to vote, you have to understand, it is not an absolute right. Not every citizen of India can give votes in India. There are certain qualifications, there are certain disqualifications that you will have to fulfill once you can give votes into India, right? So, it is a statutory right. I will understand you why it is a statutory right. Let me understand it to you. Why we are discussing statutory right? Because this right to vote in India is subjected to citizenship, subjected to age, subjected to residence, subjected to certain legal disqualification. So, which law of India deals with this, all these criterias? The answer is right to a Representation of People Act 1950. If you read section 62 of this act, it says that only those who are listed in electoral roll can vote in India. So, suppose if you are over and above 18 years of age and if you are not listed in electoral roll, will you be able to give vote? The answer is no. Similarly, if you are in prison or if you are disqualified by any law, you won't be able to give vote. So, prisoners can't say that we aren't able to give the vote. You can contest elections from prison, but you can't give votes from prison. Please remember this. So, do not go to prison if you want to vote in India. Similarly, non-citizens also, they can't vote. It says that section 19 says that it must be 18 plus and ordinarily a resident in a constituency. So, suppose for a long time you are an Indian citizen but you are living in US. So, your name would be eliminated from the voter list. So therefore you won't be able to vote. So therefore right to vote is qualified by a particular law known as Representation of People Act. Therefore it is not a constitutional right but a legal right. Now the Supreme Court has also decided on this matter. There are many judgments. The first, when this matter reached Supreme Court, was in the NP Ponnuswamy versus Returning Officer case of 1952. And in this judgment, the Supreme Court said that right to vote is a statutory right. It is a statutory right and voting is regulated by statute, that is the Representation of People Act. Similarly, in 1982, Supreme Court reaffirmed that this is not a fundamental right nor a constitutional right but only a statutory right. In PUCL versus Union of India case, the Justice P.V. Reddy observed that it may be a constitutional right, though not a fundamental right. So, why this judge made such a comment? Let us understand it. But first, let us deal with this case. Now, in Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India, this judgment is very important when you have to understand the status of right to vote. Why this judgment is very important? Because this judgment was given by a constitutional bench, which is a bench of equal to or more than 4 judges. So suppose if Supreme Court gives 2 contrasting judgments, one judgment is given by 2 judges bench and another judgment is given by a 5 judges bench. So the judgment of 5 judges bench will prevail because it is a judgment given by a constitutional bench. So therefore Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India case of 2006 is very important. This judgment was given by constitutional bench, and in this judgment the Supreme Court said that it is what kind of a right? Statutory right. Now in 2015, using the PUCL judgment here, a divisional bench of Supreme Court, that is a bench of 2 judges, it held that voting is a constitutional right. Okay, so this was a 2015 judgment. Please remember, this is a 2015 judgment and a UPSC question came in 2017. So UPSC, according to the answer key, stated that right to vote in India is a constitutional right. Why? Because this was a case that was judgment given in 2015 and this question appeared in 2017. So I am assuming the UPSC did not do a very thorough background research. It only sought that this is the recent judgment and it says constitutional right. So according to UPSC, constitutional right was the right answer. But in our today's discussion, we'll find that UPSC was wrong in this regard. I have done a very good research today. Okay, right. Now, the latest case in this regard is a 2023 case known as Anup Barnwal versus Union of India case. In this case, the majority reaffirmed that the Kuldeep Nair judgment, which was a judgment given by constitutional bench, it is right to vote is a statutory right. Similarly, a dissent judges who gave a dissent in this case, he argued that right to vote is a part of Article 19. So this lordship is speaking something else. So the today's session, we conclude that right to vote is a which kind of a right? Right to vote is which kind of a right? Yes, it is a legal right or a statutory right. Both are similar terms. Okay. So according to Anup Barnwal versus Union of India, right to vote is a statutory right, and Anup Barnwal also said that Kuldeep Nair judgment, which was a judgment given by constitutional bench, said it is a statutory right and it overrides the decision made by a divisional bench. Understood? So the legal sanctity as of today of right to vote, it is a statutory right. So if a question comes now, you'll have to answer it as a statutory right. Now, to summarize, let us understand the key features of right to vote in India. The eligibility, which is provided by Article 326 of Constitution, it says that the people over and above 18 years of age and who are not disqualified by any law, these are eligible to vote in India. Therefore, I said Article 326 is only an enabling provision. It does not mandate right to vote to every person over and above 18 years of age. If this article would have said that any person, regardless of whatever law says, if that person is 18 years or above age, that person should have given vote, then it would have been a constitutional right. Therefore, the status of right to vote is statutory right because it is created and regulated by law. Voting method in India, you understand, we vote through a secret ballot. by EVMs. Is voting compulsory in India? The answer is no, it is a voluntary exercise. Is nota option available? The answer is yes, by a judgment of Supreme Court, that is PUCL versus Union of India case 2013. Do you get to vote when you are in jail? The answer is no. Prisoners are disqualified because of Article Representation of People Act 1950. Understood this? Division bench is a bench of 2 judges. Now, in present circumstances, the right to vote in India is which right? Yes. अरे ग्रेट सेश एज यूजुअल क्या आंसर बताओ इसका. थैंक यू करके चल दिए भागा. वाह. यस. सो द करेक्ट आंसर, in present circumstances, the right to vote is a legal right. Understood this? So let's wind up our today's discussion. 2 article रहते हैं, we'll pick up tomorrow. Okay. So the notes will be available on this channel. Bye bye. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Please remember, tomorrow at 4 p.m. not at usual 11 a.m. But only tomorrow, not afterwards. 4 p.m. tomorrow. Bye bye.